Literally My Life, My Guide to Girlhood, the podcast where we have honest, unfiltered conversations about success, self-growth, and navigating the complexities of life as a young woman. I'm your host, El-Amin, journalist, model, influencer, talk show host, and storyteller. I created this podcast to be the guide I wish I had, one that speaks the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Here we break down real-life challenges from self-sabotage and ambition to relationships and mental health, all while embracing the journey of becoming our best selves. My goal is to empower and inspire you through my own experiences, stories of others, and the lessons we're all still learning. So whether you're here for advice, motivation, or just a space where you feel seen, welcome. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Literally My Life, My Guide to Girlhood. I am always really happy to be back and to be doing this podcast. I'm very grateful to have you guys and to have this community and online platform. You genuinely do not know how much it means to me. Today, I filmed a YouTube video, Get Ready With Me. The link will definitely be in this podcast episode description. And it was just so therapeutic when I was sitting there doing my mascara and stuff on camera. I was like, wow, I was low-key made for this. I was made to be an influencer darling. So I'm happy to be here, and it's a lot. It's so overwhelming, and I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful. Wow. So sorry for me glazing you guys for 48 seconds, but it's genuinely, it's okay. I hate to do it. I'm really bad at self-promo, but if you are new here or if you just haven't yet, make sure to follow our Instagram, our TikTok, subscribe to our YouTube channel because we literally have a visual talk show on there. Literally, we have all the behind the scenes content and our video episodes. If you're not already watching us on YouTube, because I know some people like to watch the video podcast on Spotify, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's so important you do that. Get all of my makeup products off of the Amazon storefront because I love when you guys use my products that I recommend. It means so it touches my little heart. And leave all your questions in the Ask Alex form. Come on, these Ask Alex questions that I chose this week, love them. So keep submitting your Ask Alex questions. And yes, so that is that's the self-promotion. I have so much energy today, guys. I think this is the most energy I've had in an episode, but I'm really excited about that. I just I feel I'm always tired because I always record these at night. But I'm not tired today. Nuh-uh. Okay, so today's episode is going to be a little different. We're going to be going back to the old school days. So I literally have a note list of podcast episode ideas I want to do. I'm glad I flashed it like that. And today we're going to be doing You're That Girl, even when you don't feel like it. But the only thing that is outlined or scripted is the Ask Alex questions. And that's just the questions, not even the responses. So I'm going to be freeballing it. I used to freeball literally all of our episodes, everything until probably June of last year. So for 6 months, all of our episodes were freeballed. And I just remember I used to get a lot of compliments before we started doing outlines, before I made them more structured. I personally like having the structure, but I kind of miss doing the free ball. I feel I had more energy and it was just better for me to come up with things when I was doing the free ball. So we're going to be doing the free ball today, and I'm just going to be telling you guys my thoughts on how you're that girl even when you don't feel like it. So without further ado, let us get into the episode. Okay, so the first thing that comes to my mind, the first thing that I want to talk about is having funks. Because I feel I kind of just got out of one. I was definitely going through a funk. If you listened to the last 3 episodes, and it wasn't until my friend brought this into my attention, I was kind of in a funk. I was kind of not in the best mood, but hey, that's okay. That's okay. We're getting over it. We're feeling ourselves, babe. No, it's okay. But I was kind of in a funk, and I just didn't feel like that girl. I was having those days where you just stay in your pajamas all day, or you don't want to get out of bed, and you're just doom scrolling and just watching Real Housewives or whatever. And you're not doing this things that are productive, the things that make you feel good. You just don't even have the energy to do them, right? That's depression. I have major depressive disorder, so my depression, it comes in funks. It comes in funks. So I was going through my funk, and it wasn't very fun. It was just sucky. It was wow, what is there to do all day? Because I'm not feeling like myself. I'm not feeling good. Well, I wish I could go back to last week and the week before that, and then the week I had the flu, which really sucked, and tell myself, girl, you are still that girl even when you don't feel like it. You are still her even when you don't feel like her. No, you don't always have to be glitz and glammed and dolled up to be that girl. You don't always have to be in school doing all your homework, kissing up to your teachers to be that girl. You don't always have to be doing all types of things to be that girl. You're literally that girl when you show up. Like, when you walk in the room, you own the room. My mom used to always tell me this when I was a kid. My mom, and I would just like never understood what that means. But she would always say, like, you don't have to speak on who you are. You don't have to speak on what you have, because when you walk in, people are automatically going to notice it because you're just that. And she would tell me this at like 9 or 10 years old, and I'd be like, what in the world? Like, what does that mean? But my mom was so right. Like, you don't have to, like I said, call attention to yourself. You don't have to feel bad about yourself in a slump or in a funk because you don't feel like your normal self. You are that girl 100% of the time. And you need to remember that. You need to program that into your brain. I was listening to a podcast this morning. It's called the Glow Up Podcast. Literally one of my favorite podcasts. And I would love Alicia to be on the podcast. Like, that would literally be a dream come true. But I was watching the Glow Up Podcast this morning, and she was talking about, I can't even remember the name of the episode, but I was listening to an episode where she was talking about how she was raised with unconditional love and how she's implementing that unconditional love within herself. And I was like, whoa, that hit hard. Because I feel like as humans, especially on ourselves, like, it is such human nature for people to be harder on themselves than they are to other people. It's so hard for us to love ourselves unconditionally, because like, I feel like we can have unconditional love for others, we can have unconditional love for Jesus, our family, but it's hard to have unconditional love for ourselves because it's genuinely just human nature. I'm going to take my glasses off today, guys, because I'm not reading a script, so you guys can see the glam that took me an hour. Please watch that YouTube video. It's very hard for us to love ourselves unconditionally because it's literally human nature for us to be harder on ourselves than we would to other people. That's why so many people say, like, when you get upset with yourself or when something happens, you're supposed to say, like, oh, what would I tell my friend? Like, what would I say to my friend? Because we're automatically nicer to other people than we are to ourselves. I wonder why. I genuinely wonder why. When I was doing the How to Stop Caring What People Think About You episode in the summer, I did some like research on like human psychology and like why we are the way we are and why we care about like people's opinions and stuff. And it was so weird because it went all the way back to like the cave days. Like, the history was so cool. Like, I kind of want to do that for this. Like, why are humans harder on themselves than they are other people? Like, it's genuinely so weird. But that's something that I'm learning to do. I'm learning to have unconditional love for myself. And I'm learning that my love, and I've learned this a long time ago, but I feel like a lot of people make an assumption about me. Like, okay, this is going to sound maybe a little conceited, and I'm sorry if it does, but I have had people say to me, like, oh, I wouldn't be insecure if I looked like you, or stuff like that. And I'm like, that's not nice to say about yourself. That, and then it's like kind of weird because like, how are you supposed to respond to that? Like, the weirdest thing that's like ever happened to me is one time I complimented this girl and I was like, you are so pretty, and she was like, thank you, but I could never compare to you or something. I was like, oh, like, why would you say that? Like, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, no, you can't actually. But my confidence definitely does not stem from my like looks or anything like that. Like, yeah, does it help or anything? Sure. Does it help to feel like look good, feel good? That's definitely a relation there. I'm not discounting that. I'm saying though that beauty fades. You're not going to be 16, 17, 18 forever, because that's around the age that I'm at. I'm almost 18. I'm not going to be this age forever. I'm going to look very different in 40 years, God willing, if I'm alive. And I can't let my confidence be dependent on how I look. So I'm learning to change that thought process. Well, it wasn't really a big deal to me, but I've seen that in a lot of other people. They'll be like, how can I like myself and I don't like the way I look? Like, why is the, like, how, like, why is the way you feel about yourself dependent on the way you look? I don't understand why that's conditioned in society. That just makes me so sad for people and like young girls, because I've met so many girls my age. Like, I've met girls at school, I've met girls at volunteer organizations, I've met girls wherever, and they'll just say like, oh, I don't like myself because my butt's too flat or my hair's too short or whatever. And I'm like, we're freaking teenagers. We're like kids, and you seriously don't like yourself because you have a flat butt? So do I. And I think I'm all that in a bag of potato chips. So, like, who cares? Like, I hate that so many people attach their value to their physical appearance. But what I was saying is, yes, my confidence does not depend on my looks. Yes. Does it help? Yes. But that's not what it is. My confidence comes from my character. My confidence comes from the way I handle situations. My confidence comes from the way I love God and the way God is training me to deal with certain situations. Because the old me, and I'll say this, we'll touch on this very briefly, because the old Alex before baptism, child, she don't deserve no airtime. No, I'm kidding. No, I wasn't mean or anything, but I did have a habit of kind of giving the wrong people energy and just entertaining negative sources in my life. And I'm confident now in the fact that God has showed me and is still showing me every day. It's a learning process where to put my energy and how to put my energy in places where it's valued versus where it's just going to be a bunch of drama and controversy and stuff. So God, he's working on me. I'm a work in progress, but we're doing great so far. We are doing great so far. That's where my confidence stems from. It does not come from the way I look. So if you are listening to this and you're like, well, why do I like myself and I don't know, my hair's too short, my butt's too flat or whatever. Your confidence, I know it helps. I'm not saying, because I know that days, even today, yesterday I was kind of feeling my cortisol levels were all high because I had scholarship stuff to do and I was all stressed out. And then today I just sit there and record the YouTube video that I recorded and do my makeup and stuff. It just felt so good. And it was wow, when you look good, you feel good for real. And that's why I wear makeup every day to school. I'll have a rough day and then I'll look in the mirror and be ooh, girl, that face is beat. It helps. It definitely helps. But it should not be the center of your life and the center of your confidence. Your confidence should come from God in the Bible. That's where your confidence should really come from. Let's get into that one. Let me tell you guys, when I started reading the Bible, when I started talking to God more, when I started praying more and really getting into my devotionals, God's definition of me was so different than anything I've ever heard about me. Because, I've said on this podcast multiple times, I have not been told the nicest things about myself. I, in fact, have been told some of the meaner things in life, and it has not been the most encouraging or the most fun. But I've gotten through it. I feel good. I've gotten through it. It's fine. But it kind of is detrimental to your self-esteem, I think, at this age to be told so many bad things about yourself, because I'm quoting the clean speech here and I have no problem doing it. Sometimes when people talk about you, right, and they say nasty things about you, sometimes those words become written in your skin. And then there's a real risk that those words can become a part of the way you see yourself. But when, I'm telling you, this is literally the clean speech, almost verbatim. But when you realize that you are not the reflection of those opinions who do not know or care about you, those words fade away and you start to feel clean. Sorry for that corniness, but I in my soul wanted to quote the clean speech. I always quote the clean speech in Serenity's Prayer. If you are a podcast OG, I will never, I will almost never get through an episode without quoting one of those. No, but that, and then reading the Bible and seeing what God sees in me really helped my self-esteem and really helped me to not only feel like that girl, but to feel like a Proverbs 31 woman. The other day, I actually want to read Proverbs 31 to you guys, because I kept hearing, I didn't know Proverbs 31 verbatim, so I wanted to sit down and, read it the other night. I was in prayer, and God literally told me to read Proverbs 31, and it was so weird. Maybe it was so I could share it on here. So we got my spectacles out, spectacles cam, and we're going to read Proverbs 31. All right. We'll start at 31:10. Who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She finds wool and flax and busily spins it. She is like a merchant ship, bringing her food from afar. She gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her household and plans the day's work for her servant girls. She goes to inspect a field and buys it. With her earnings, she plans a vineyard. She is energetic and strong, a hard worker. She makes sure her dealings are profitable. Her lamp burns late into the night. Her hands are busy spinning thread, her fingers twisting fiber. She extends a helping hand to the poor and open arms to the needy. She has no fear of... Oh, Lord, I can't see that verse. Okay, sorry. We'll go to the next one. She has no fear of winter for her household, for everyone has warm clothes. She makes her own bedspreads. She dresses in fine linens and purple gowns. Her husband is well known at the city gates where he sits with other civic leaders. She makes belted linen garments and sashes to sell to the merchants. Okay, and this is the verse that you saw on everybody's wall and lock screen in 2012. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. She carefully watches everything in her households and suffers nothing from laziness. Her children stand and bless her. Her husband praises her. There are many virtuous and capable women in the world, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty does not last. But a woman who fears the Lord will be greatly praised. Reward for all she has done, let her deeds publicly declare her praise. That is Proverbs 31, verses 10 through 31. So yes, we are speaking Proverbs 31 over our lives, okay? We are becoming Proverbs 31 women in 2025. But that isn't even like a tenth. That doesn't even touch a tenth in the Bible of what God has said about human beings. It is absolutely insane how much love and how much grace that God has given us. And God's definition of us, I think I've said this before in previous episodes, but it's so true. It is so different than the world's definition of us. The world looks at us and sees all of our flaws and puts us under a magnifying glass to inspect them more. God sees us, ignores our flaws, and just sees the goodness in us. He sees our potential. He sees the great in us. He sees the best in us. When I tell you this, I will literally start playing the song and like put it in the mic. I will not put that against me. God literally sees the best in us. And so when you start to read your Bible more, when you start to get more into your faith, when you start to really grow in your relationship with God, you start to gain a sense of confidence, because it's like, maybe you say I'm unworthy, maybe you think I don't deserve a second shot, but God does, so I don't really care, because God thinks I'm worthy. That's it. That's the end of the story. God thinks I'm worthy. Now, another thing that I just thought of is to let your thoughts just be your thoughts. Sometimes I have thoughts. I was thinking this the other night. I was like, oh my goodness, I want to like jump off a bridge, because I had this homework assignment and I was super, super procrastinating. I stayed up to like 4 a.m. doing it. And I was having all these thoughts, these like dark thoughts about myself, and just like bad energy, just so much bad energy and bad mojo around me. It was really, really bad. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. And then I had to remind myself, your thoughts are just that. They're your thoughts. I was on the phone with my brother the other day, and he was just telling me about how our feelings do not have to dictate and control our lives. And I was someone who was under the impression that my thoughts and my feelings have to dictate and control my life, because I'm somebody who deals with mental illness. And to me, my thoughts and feelings, they're a little bigger than other people's thoughts and feelings, and they definitely run my life, and they definitely affect me more than, someone with your average coping skills and average brain. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do you mean? But he was so right. Like, the more we got into it and the more we started talking about it, I realized he was right. One, your thoughts are just that, your thoughts. You may passively think like, oh my goodness, I hate myself, but you don't have to accept that and start hating yourself because you thought that once or twice. The more you entertain that thought, the more you speak life over that thought, the more it's going to become true. When I tell you guys the power of life and death is in the tongue, I am not just saying that to say it. The power of life and death is literally in the tongue. I have started speaking life over myself, and I have had some of the best, like, I've gotten myself out of this funk. I've learned how to balance my schedule, which is something I just could not do for like the life of me. I have been praying. I've been sober for 2 weeks now. It's been amazing because I've been speaking life over myself, like out loud, speaking the word of God. Like, I have so many screenshots of just like Bible verses that I'll repeat before bed, like just to anoint my room or just anoint me before bed. Like, here are some of the declarations I was saying last night. Like, I walk in God's favor and doors of opportunity are opening for me. My business, my talk show, my podcast, my internet career will prosper and be a blessing to others. Clients and customers are a dream to my business by divine connections. But learning to speak favor over your life, learning to speak the word of God over your life, you will see a change. I promise you, you will literally see a change. And the more that I've started to speak life over myself, I've started to feel better. And I've also learned how to like retrain my thoughts. That's something I had to learn when I was about 14, because when I was 14, I struggled with like self hate and like body issues and body dysmorphia to like an extreme level. Like it was really bad my freshman year of high school. I just like did not think I was pretty. It was like no matter how many people told me I was, no matter who I was around, I did not think I was pretty. It was really, really bad. I don't know what was up with that. And I had to learn how to retrain my thoughts so that I could actually live a happy life, because you're not going to be happy no matter your circumstances or how much money you make or whatever if you're not, everything's not right up here. So I literally had to learn how to retrain my thoughts. And once I did that, it was so much easier. And the best way to do that is to ignore your thoughts. Like 95% of your thoughts, and I actually have done research on this because of my addiction and stuff. 95% of your thoughts are controlled. Like there are only like 5% of your thoughts that you just genuinely cannot control, but 95% of human thoughts you can control. The best way to get rid of a thought when you're going through something is not to be like, oh my god, I shouldn't be thinking about this, oh my god, this is making it worse. Simply ignore it. Just look at it. Like, I don't know, I just have it like come in my brain. It's so weird. I wish I could like edit the way my brain looks. Like my brain will bring a thought in, and if I don't like the way it is, I'll just stare at it for 5 seconds and let it pass. And then once it passes, a new thought comes in. And if I don't like that thought, I stare at it for 5 seconds and then it passes. It's like a thought factory. Well, it's like a thought factory. And learning to ignore those bad thoughts has helped me so much. I am so, so different than the girl I was freshman year. And I am so happy about that. I'm so much more confident. I can set boundaries. I do much better in my friendships and my relationships because partially because of thought training. Your thoughts are just that. Let them just be thoughts. You don't genuinely have to start disliking yourself because you're thinking to yourself you dislike yourself. You have the power. You have the power over everything in your body. You have the power over your life. Do not speak bad words over yourself. Do not speak death over yourself. The power of life and death is within your tongue. Stop talking yourself down. Stop minimizing your light for others. Stop saying negative things to yourself in the mirror. When you have a bad thought about yourself, when you have a bad thought about your life, sit at it, look at it for 5 seconds, and move on. You know what I mean? And I feel like part of the reason people like have such bad thoughts about their lives is because, I'm going to say it, but this is something I've noticed. I don't think people are grateful enough anymore. I really, really don't. And I was one of those people until, unfortunately, I got really sick. If you're new here, the summer before my junior year of high school, I contracted a very rare inflammatory disease and buildup, and it was really bad. And I like lost my ability to walk, and it was really, really bad. And when you lose your ability to walk, you lose your ability to take a shower, you lose your ability to stand up and do your makeup, you lose your ability to do your hair, you lose your ability to pretty much do everything, right? And now that I've seen that side of life and I've gotten past it, I'm so grateful for the little things. I was grateful this morning. I was able to take an everything shower. I was able to wash my hair. I was able to do my makeup. I was able to just do the whole 360. And I got out the shower and I was like, thank you, God, because there was a time I couldn't do this. There was a time I couldn't take an everything shower for like 8 months because it was so bad. My inflammation was that bad. I say this to say I just don't think people are grateful enough for the things that they have. And I think sometimes people don't know what they have until it's gone. I am so grateful for myself and my body, despite what it may look like, despite the societal standards that I may not be fitting, because my body carries me around. My body walks again. I completely lost my ability to walk. It was really, really bad. And my body started to walk again. My body started to function, and I can do pretty much everything I could do before I was sick, which is an absolute miracle. So I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the school I go to. Even though I have my challenges, I'm grateful. I feel so bad when people are like, oh, I hate the school that I'm at or whatever. I love my school and I'm grateful to go there. Yeah, some stuff happens. Yeah, it's high school. Yeah, it can be catty or whatever. But I got into a top selective enrollment school in Chicago, which is the third largest school district in America. I'm grateful. You know what I mean? Like, I hate when I go to school and they're like, oh my God, I hate it here. I don't want to show up. I'm like, I'm grateful that I'm able to show up. I'm grateful that I was able to wake up this morning because there were people that did not wake up. Maybe gratitude is my attitude because I lost everything, but that's what it is. And maybe that's why I'm not as hard on myself about my appearance or anything else, because I'm just happy to be alive. I'm just happy that my body still functions because it didn't at one point. Back to what my brother said about your feelings don't have to control your life or dictate your life. They really genuinely don't. Your feelings may feel so extreme sometimes. Like, my feelings definitely do at times, and I just feel like, oh my goodness, like, this is so all consuming. I don't know what to do. Well, you know what we talked about last week? You know how we talked about that surrendering? Girl, I've been doing that. And those feelings feel a lot smaller. They feel a lot smaller. Every time I have this like dark cloud of feelings or something going on, I get on my knees and pray. I saw a quote yesterday that was like, there may not always be a shoulder to cry on, but there is definitely a floor to pray on. And I was like, whoa, that's so true. I get on my knees, I start praying, and I'm like, God, I surrender this heavy feeling to you. I surrender this weirdness, this funk that I'm in. I did it this morning. It was like, I surrender my cortisol levels because I can tell they're through the roof. I surrender it all to you, God. I don't want to carry this heaviness anymore. And when I tell you, I felt so much better once I was able to do that. Like, so much better. I don't have to carry the heaviness or the burdens of my feelings anymore because I can just leave every burden I have at the cross. And now I'm not letting my feelings or my bad thoughts or my positive thoughts or anything like that dictate my life. You know what I mean? I'm just not letting my feelings run my life anymore, which feels really, really good. And I've done that all through surrendering. So I suggest, if you're a Christian, even if you're a control freak, even whatever, you definitely need to listen to last week's episode because we really break it down and we figure out how to start actually surrendering your problems to God and letting go of control. So definitely listen to last week's episode. But if you did listen to last week's episode, remember, surrender is a daily battle. Okay, you need to continue surrendering for the every day of the rest of your life because you're gonna have a lot of stuff to surrender. Okay, guys, I think it's time for us to do Ask Alex because we're getting in there. We're hitting about the 30-minute mark soon. Okay, so I have 6. We picked out 6 this week. Let's read these. Also, guys, look, I got a new phone. Okay. So, okay. These are really sweet, by the way. Okay. Hi, Alex. You're involved in so many different things. Your talk show, podcasts, and interviews. How do you balance it all and stay focused? Well, I do. I'm one of those people that wear many different hats because when I'm not on here giving you guys advice about life, I'm interviewing some athlete, some rapper, some actress, some entertainer. So it's definitely a lot. It is definitely a lot. How do I balance it all? Well, my mom actually sat me down this weekend and bought me a physical big calendar and then bought me a mini book calendar. And we were just sitting down writing a to-do list and all the things that I want to accomplish. And then we put it all down on a calendar. Writing things out have really, really helped me balance everything. I planned my week tonight in my weekly business meeting. I planned my week tonight and it was so productive. And I know I'll have a very productive week and I can balance everything because I'm writing everything out. The days when I was just doing interviews on a limb, just walking up to players asking for interviews and editing talk shows on my own and just doing the podcast 3 days late were very stressful days. My cortisol levels were up to here. So yes, writing everything out in short. Hi, Alex. You always have such a polished and put together look. Well, thank you. How did you develop your personal style and what inspires it? Okay. Well, yes, again, thank you. I always try to be polished, honey. I was raised by a Southerner. We were taught to look your best when you feel your worst. How did I develop my personal style and what inspires it? I would have to say I look up to a lot of people. I pick and pull from everything. I would definitely say I love my mom. My mom was my biggest inspiration. I feel like every girl kind of models under their mother in a way, and I definitely model under my mother in the way I dress, the way I act, the way I do my makeup, the way I talk. My mother's my biggest inspiration. Absolutely. I owe it all to her. You guys, I don't know if I've told you guys this, but my mom's actually a journalist, so I'm actually copying her career now. So it's been great. I've been doing a great job. So definitely say my mother. And then other people that I definitely pick and pull from, I definitely would say Kim Kardashian a lot. I really look up to her. I really look up to how she was able to market herself into a brand. I definitely pick and pull from Tyra Banks. I love her undertones. I feel like we kind of have like a similar bone structure, although that's like flattering for me, because I don't know. I don't. Some people have like compared me to Tyra, and I'm like, my ego will go through this roof. So I definitely pick and pull from Tyra. I definitely pick and pull from Cassie. I think she's gorgeous. One of my biggest like style inspirations is just definitely like early 2000 Kim. I definitely say Malika Andrews and Taylor Rooks because I think they're the flyest girls in sports. And yeah, and then a lot of it's just me. I just come up with my own thing, my own statement pieces, these big old chunky glasses, gel overlay nails, the pink lip gloss and the blush, and it's just me. I come up from a lot of it. So thank you. That was very nice. 3. Hi, Alex. What's something people assume about you that isn't actually true? That's a good one. What is something people assume about me that isn't actually true? Let me see. One, I hear a lot of comments, like, and this is just from like what I see at school, because like online I only hear really good things. For what I hear at school, I hear that I'm mean, but I'm not mean. But I've like heard some stuff that I'm mean, and I'm like, well, I'm not mean at all. Like, I do not feel better about myself by making somebody feel bad about themselves. So that's definitely something that I think has been spread that's not true. Yeah, that I'm mean. I think that's the biggest one. I hear some other stuff and I don't even want to give that airtime. Okay. Thanks for the question. 4. Alex, you've had the chance to interview some really great athletes. Is there one interview that stands out as your favorite? I would definitely say one of the nicest kids that I ever interviewed was Chris Watkins on Kenwood's team. The reason that interview always stands out to me is because, one, I always admire a real student athlete because Chris is like a 5.2 GPA. He's very smart, and he likes chess. And you guys know I play chess. I was like, I definitely can admire you balancing academics with athletics because we don't see that a lot. And then the reason that interview really stood out to me is if you go and you watch it, when I asked him what his like greatest accomplishment was so far, he said it could be like this interview or something, and I was so flattered. I'd never heard that one before when I asked that question, so that one definitely put my ego up to your guys. It's not coming down. So yeah, I would definitely say Chris Watkins has been my favorite, but also I always like to give credit to like the people who let me interview them when I was first starting out, because I did start out doing some bigger names, and I would have to say like Jonas Williams and Talon Taylor, who are two of like the biggest names in Illinois high school sports, and they just took a chance on me and just like let me interview them despite me having like no background at all, especially Jonas, because Jonas was my first interview. So I appreciate those two deeply for taking a chance on, what did I say, a tall girl from Chicago? Yes. Hi, Alex. What's one piece of advice you received that has really stuck with you? Oh my goodness. So many. Literally so many pieces of advice have like really stuck with me. I would say there's a line from one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's Legally Blonde. And it's not really a piece of advice, but it was like a rhetorical question or something. I don't even know how to phrase it, but this girl said to Elle Woods, she was like, if you're going to let one stupid guy ruin your life, you're not the girl that I thought you were. And that was like, that one stayed with me because I've definitely, I've talked a lot about my first relationship and how it like changed the trajectory of my life, how I've developed into this person and like have come from this little like cocoon into this beautiful butterfly, and it's been great, and how it wouldn't have happened without all of that trauma. But I'm really happy that I didn't let that guy ruin my life, because I feel like it almost did at one point. And that's one piece of advice I always want to give to people, even if it's not a guy, even if you lose a friend or even a family member, somebody that you really know and love turns against you in the worst way possible. You can't let it ruin your life. You can't let it ruin your self-esteem. You can't let it take you down no matter what. Like, you may be knocked down every time, but you have the favor of God, and God's going to get you up every single time. I mean, if I'm sitting here still doing this podcast, still talking to you guys, still having a social media platform after everything I've been through, after every time I've sinned, after every time I messed up, there was so much hope for you. Okay, God is going to pick you right back up. So never, ever let a situation or a betrayal of any sort ruin your life, because it almost ruined mine. I'm telling you, like, genuinely, like, that heartbreak almost put me like down. Like, I almost became a nun, but I'm doing fine now. Okay, all right, last question. Hey, Alex, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? That's a really good question. If I could go back in time and tell my younger self one thing, I feel like I would tell myself different things at different ages. But if I had to go back to, I guess, the age target I do for this podcast, if I had to go back and tell my 13-year-old self something, I would tell her what I just talked about on the podcast today, which is that the way you feel about yourself should not be centered around the way that you look, and that you are so beautiful inside and out, and somebody is going to come along and appreciate that, and you don't have to try to worry about fixing everything about yourself, because there's really nothing that needs to be fixed. I used to be so afraid of like dating and finding a guy and stuff. I don't know why. I was like 13, but I used to think like nobody would want me, and I would just have like all these big issues dating and stuff because I was tall and I was plus size, and it was so bad for me, and I didn't really know what to do. It was just like really, really bad. But I wish I could go back and tell myself like, you're perfect. There's nothing wrong with you physically, okay? And you're somebody's dream girl right now, and the way that you feel about yourself should not be centered around the way that you look. You are beautiful at the weight that you are at. You are beautiful at the weight you will be in the future. And you have such a beautiful heart, and not a lot of people have that. That's what I would tell my younger self. Okay, guys, this has been an amazing episode, and it was a lot easier to record without the outline, so I might be freeballing it a little bit more, but sorry if my thoughts were like all over the place. I just think like that. I'm very sorry. So as we close out, there's one last thing I want to tell you guys that I heard from the Glow Up podcast. She asked this question, and it like blew me away. Like, I'm telling you, like, I didn't know what to do. But she asked this question that said, and when I'm making decisions and stuff, I asked myself this question: what would a person who loves themselves do? And that blew me away. Like, that will help me with my addiction recovery. That will help me in just my general life. Like, it was absolutely insane. So for her to say that, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. But that's so true. That's a question I want you to start asking yourself when you're making decisions about your life, when you're making even the smallest of decisions, like, should I wake up in the morning and go for a run? Should I, you know what I mean? Like, should I go to dinner with an ex? Should I call an ex-boyfriend? Like, when you are making these decisions, think to yourself, is this something a person who loves themselves would do? When you get that answer, follow through on that answer. Thank you. No, and I also want to like encourage you guys to do nice things for yourself. Every Sunday, I take an everything shower. I wash my hair, I shave, I tan, I do like a face mask, a hair mask. Like, I do the whole mamma jamma. I clean my bathroom, I clean my room, I do my laundry, I do the podcast, I plan for my week ahead. Like, I do so much stuff, and it is so not only helpful throughout the week because you can go into the week tan and, shaved and great, but it's just so good for your mental health to like treat yourself like that. Like, it is so good. Like, I encourage you to like get up in the morning and go for a run. Movement is therapy in your body. Just do nice things for yourself. Buy yourself flowers. Take yourself out to eat. Eat healthy. Drink a lot of water. Do an ice bath. Take an ice facial. Do red light therapy. Just like take your vitamins. Like, do something good for you. Celebrate you, because you are that girl even when you don't feel like it. Yeah, you may be in your PJs for 3 days now listening to this, eating ice cream, doing whatever. But you're still that girl. You may be listening to this on your way to a gala, and you're in your best ball gown, and your hair is slayed, and your nails look good. And you're also that girl. You are that girl at every situation and every time in your life, in every circumstance. You are that girl, even when you don't feel like it, even when you feel down. You have the favor of God. So not only are you that girl, but you are a woman of God. You are a Proverbs 31 woman. And a woman of God, let me tell you, she cannot be moved. She cannot be moved. She cannot be put down. Nothing can come in the way between God's favor. Nothing. Okay? Okay. I love you guys. Remember to love yourselves. Remember to do nice things for yourself. I'm giving you guys homework. I want you to do one nice thing for yourself every single day this week. And this is an actual nice thing for yourself, not just ordering dessert. I want you to do a self-care practice. I want you to journal. I want you to pray. I want you to just do something for yourself every single day this week. Like, just one nice thing. Even if it's coming home and taking a bubble bath and listening to this podcast. I love you guys so, so much. Remember what I said. You are that girl even when you don't feel like it, because this is something I ain't touched on. But let me tell you, when you start to feel that way about yourself, other people will naturally gravitate towards you, okay? People will naturally gravitate towards your energy of self-love. People gonna love you the way you love yourself, okay? Okay. I love you guys so much. I will see you guys next week. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Mwah, and happy My Guide to Girlhood Monday. Bye, guys. That's it for today's episode of Literally My Life, My Guide to Girlhood. If you found this episode valuable, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more than you know. You can also keep up with me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, where I share even more insights, interviews, and behind-the-scenes moments. Remember, growth isn't always pretty, but every step forward is a step closer to the life you deserve. Keep showing up for yourself, keep striving, and as always, stay focused, stay fearless, and stay you. Until next time.